people decide what you mean before you finish your sentence. That is not because they are shallow. It is because their brain is trying to stay safe. If you have ever walked away from a conversation thinking, I said the right words, but it landed wrong, I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are not bad at communication. You were just speaking to a nervous system, not a spreadsheet. Most people do not listen like judges. They listen like weather sensors. They scan for pressure, for threat, for status, for warmth. Then they decide how open they can afford to be. Influential communication is not verbal gymnastics. It is the art of lowering resistance without lowering truth. It is getting your message into someone without triggering the part of them that fights back on reflex. That reflex has a name in psychology, reactance, which means the pushback people feel when they sense their freedom is being controlled. The moment someone feels pushed, they stop hearing content and start defending identity. I have watched this happen in quiet rooms and loud ones, in offices with fluorescent lights and in kitchens at midnight. The same pattern repeats. One person is trying to be understood. The other person is trying not to be cornered. And both walk away frustrated, each convinced the other just would not listen. So I want to slow it down. I want to show you what is really happening under the words. Because once you can see the machinery, you stop taking it personally. You also stop using force when what you needed was precision. The first truth is this. Attention is not a gift people give you. Attention is a scarce resource the brain protects. The brain is always running a cost-benefit calculation. Is this safe? Is this useful? Does this matter to me? Does this cost energy? If your communication does not answer those questions fast, the listener drifts. Not because they are rude, but because their mind is doing what minds do. That is why influential communicators feel clear. Not loud, clear. Clarity is kindness to attention, but clarity alone is not enough. You can be perfectly clear and still get rejected, because people do not accept messages, they accept meanings, and meanings are filtered through emotion. Affect is the word psychologists use for the emotional tone in the body. Affect comes first, logic comes second. If someone feels tense, your facts feel like attacks. If someone feels respected, even hard feedback can feel like help. This is why your tone is not decoration. Your tone is the delivery vehicle. It carries the emotional signal that tells the other person what kind of moment this is. Is this a moment where I might be shamed, controlled, exposed? Or is this a moment where I can stay intact? I think about communication like walking into a dark room. Your words are the furniture, but your emotional signal is the light switch. If you do not turn on enough light, people bump into things and blame the furniture. So I start with the light. I start by regulating myself because my nervous system broadcasts before my mouth does. If I am tight in the jaw, if I am rushing, if I am trying to win, the other person feels it. They may not name it, but they will respond to it. There is a simple psychological idea here, emotional contagion, which means emotions spread between people like yawns. If I bring agitation, I invite agitation. If I bring groundedness, I make groundedness possible. Influence begins before the first word. It begins in the pace of your breathing, the softness in your face, the patience in your timing. Late-night conversations teach this fast. In the quiet, you can hear your own urgency. You can hear when you are trying to get relief by forcing agreement. That is not influence. That is self-soothing through control. Now let me give you a concrete picture. Imagine you need to correct someone at work. The common approach is to load the sentence with evidence. Dates, details, screenshots. The mind thinks if I prove it, they will accept it. But the other person feels a different message under it. They feel, I am being built into a case file. Their identity stiffens. They start scanning for unfairness. This is where a cognitive bias shows up. Fundamental attribution error means we explain other people's behavior as personality, but explain our own behavior as circumstance. So you think they are careless. They think I was overloaded. If you speak as if their mistake reveals their character, you invite defense. If you speak as if their mistake happened inside a context, you invite collaboration. Influential communication respects the human need to stay good in their own eyes. That need is not vanity. It is psychological survival. Shame is one of the fastest ways to shut down learning. So I do something different. I aim for accuracy without humiliation. I name impact without assigning identity. I separate the person from the behavior. Behavior can change. Identity feels like a life sentence. This is also where cognitive dissonance matters. Cognitive dissonance is the discomfort people feel when their actions conflict with their self-image. If you corner them with "you are wrong," you force them to choose between truth and pride. Many people choose pride not because they love being wrong, but because they cannot tolerate the self-threat in that moment. If instead you give them a bridge, they can cross without collapsing. The bridge is dignity. Dignity sounds like, "I know your intent was good, and this is the impact I am seeing." That is not manipulation. That is accuracy with humanity. Influence is not about getting people to do what you want. It is about making it easier for them to choose what is reasonable. Another thing that changes everything is understanding what people are really asking when they speak. Often they are not asking for information. They are asking for position. Am I respected here? Do I matter? Am I safe with you? This is why arguments repeat. People think they are arguing about chores, money, deadlines, or tone. Underneath, they are negotiating belonging and status. Status is not just ego. Status is the brain's map of where it stands in the group. If someone feels lowered, they fight. If someone feels seen, they soften. You can keep your boundaries and still protect someone from unnecessary status injury. A subtle way to do this is to show that you can hold two truths at once. I can take you seriously and I can disagree with you. I can respect your effort and I can ask for a change. When you communicate like that, you become a stable surface. People stop bracing. There is a persuasion principle hiding here. It is called validation, which means acknowledging the reality of someone else's experience without necessarily agreeing with their conclusion. Validation reduces threat. It tells the nervous system, I am not alone in this room with an enemy. Then the brain has spare capacity to think. I have seen people become more rational in real time when they feel validated. Their shoulders drop. Their voice slows. Their words become less sharp. Not because you surrendered, but because you removed the need for them to fight for basic recognition. Now let us talk about attention again, because influential communication is also about what you choose not to say. Most people over-explain when they feel insecure. They add more words to cover the fear of being misunderstood. But extra words often create extra exits. The listener can disagree with one detail and ignore the whole message. The mind loves simple shapes. If your point has too many corners, attention slips. So I aim for a clean line. One idea per breath, one image that carries the meaning. Metaphor helps when it is functional, not decorative. A good metaphor is a handle the brain can hold. If I say, your mind is like a browser with too many tabs open, you feel it in your body. You do not need a lecture about working memory. Working memory is the small mental space where you hold information in the moment. Too many tabs means less capacity. That metaphor makes the psychology usable. But influence is not just about being understood. It is about being remembered. Memory is biased toward emotion and novelty. If your message has no emotional texture, it fades. If it has no relevance, it evaporates. This is why stories work. Not because people are childish, but because stories simulate real life. The brain treats them like practice. So, when I want to influence, I do not just state a principle. I attach it to a moment that feels familiar: the late train, the unread email, the tense silence after a small comment that landed like a slap. The listener recognizes themselves, and recognition is the doorway to change. There is another deep lever: identity. People do not change because they were told to. They change when a new behavior fits who they believe they are. Self-efficacy is the term for the belief that you can do what you are trying to do. If your communication makes someone feel incapable, they resist. If it makes them feel capable, they engage. This is why the best influence often sounds like trust, not blind trust, specific trust. I have seen you handle hard things before. I think you can handle this too. That kind of message does not inflate, it stabilizes. And let me be honest about a shadow side. Influence can be used to control. The difference is your intent and your respect for the other person's agency. Agency means their right to choose. If you try to remove agency, you trigger reactance again. If you honor agency, you invite ownership. Ownership is the holy grail of behavior change. People protect what they choose. So I communicate in a way that leaves room for choice. Even when I am firm. Especially when I am firm. I do not trap people in yes or no. I help them see the trade-off they are making. When someone can clearly see the cost of staying the same, they do not need to be pushed. They start pulling themselves toward change. This connects to locus of control. Locus of control means where someone feels control lives, inside them or outside them. If your communication makes them feel controlled by you, they become passive or rebellious. If your communication helps them feel in control of their actions, they become active. A practical example: if I need someone to meet a deadline, I can pressure them with fear. That works short term.